And we are live. Welcome to Oz Property Investors, where we have the big names and we have the big fun. Welcome, everyone. Great to have you on board, Meredith.
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here.
This has been a while. This has been a long while. It's actually 4 years in the making. For those that don't know, guys, we are Oz Property Investors. We're all about kind of, I guess, building property success for people. And Meredith, our guest that we have on today, isn't about just surfing, the cool, trendy Airbnb wave. It's actually about helping people get a better return on investment from their short-term rentals. Now, I've been reading in the comments, we've been posting and stuff about these short-term rentals. I've been calling them Airbnbs, and everyone's been jumping down my throat. No, they're not Airbnbs. They're short-term rentals. They're STRs. But tonight, I wanted to unpack, it's been 4 years, right? You jumped on 2021, I think it was, and there was a lot less rules. There was a lot less regulation. I think, I don't know, I might be wrong. There used to be a little bit more profit, especially actually with the interest rates that have risen. There definitely would have been a lot more profit, but that's the same across the board as property investors. But what I want to understand tonight is, one, does Airbnb still make sense in 2025 going into 2026? Is this something that we should be exploring? Number two, what are some of the tips and tricks to maximize our return for Airbnbs? And number three, a little bit of a selfish one. Guys, we're building the Oz property portfolio to $150,000 of passive income. And a big part of that is the word passive income. So we want to get passive income. So is Airbnb the answer? And Meredith has actually run the numbers for some of our deals. So if we have time towards the end, we'll be able to get that. But yeah, how are you, Meredith? It's been a while.
I'm doing great. Yeah. So I, as you said, I have been doing this Airbnb business for a little bit now. You're right. We don't want to give Airbnb all the branding opportunity that it gets, but it gets it. Everybody knows what we're talking about. It is short-term rentals and mid-term rentals and all that kind of stuff.
Well, actually, maybe this is a point to introduce who you are, actually, because you were trained as a social worker. I think 8, 9 years ago. Sorry, I messed the number up.
But you were 20 years ago. I'm really young, but 20 years. I've been doing I did social work for a good 12 years. Sorry. Yeah. It was. I've had a big career change in that time.
You've had a big wild ride, and now you've been doing short-term rental, property management and admin and sorting out a business called Custom B&B, and you've been doing that since 2019. And now you have a large amount of Airbnb properties yourself as your property portfolio that you're, getting a positive cash flow income from, which I find super duper interesting.
Yeah, so we've done all of it. We started doing the arbitrage or the leasing model where you rent the property out. You lease it, you rent a property off an owner and get that with their permission, you sublet it onto Airbnb. It's not subletting, but you rent it out onto Airbnb. And that's how we got started. And we were going to build this brilliant big portfolio. And then COVID hit, of course, so that wasn't so achievable anymore. But I'd learned all these skills in the interim about, listing properties and, making them presentable and guest communications and set up all these systems and rigor around, guest vetting and cleaning standards and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, it'd be good to do it for some other people. Did it backwards. Didn't start with my own property. I went hard on arbitrage straight up and, to build a business. And then, so we got rid of the properties during the COVID because there was no one coming to stay in them, and I just had all these rents to pay.
Yeah, of course.
And so that wasn't so great. Even though it is a model that it can be rolled out, it's a model we've stepped away from now because of that risk of having rents and no income. But yeah, we started helping other people who I got to know, and they're like, "Hey, we've got this property we want to put on Airbnb." So I sort of started with the holiday letting kind of pool of people first, and the second home, holiday home people. And then we built it up slowly, and I got one in Hervey Bay, and I had one in Darwin Peninsula, and I'd been in New South Wales, and we had one in Melbourne, and we were all over the shop. So we've kind of consolidated a little bit. We're not in New South Wales anymore. And then I thought, I really should run the numbers on my own investment property in Darwin. And I was frightened like everybody else, and was like, oh, what if it doesn't work? What if I got the numbers wrong? What if it's, I'm going to pour all this money into making it presentable, furnishing it, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm remote. I live on the Sunshine Coast now, and it's up in Darwin. It was a property I bought back in 2013.
Wow.
It was already a good yielding property, because we know Darwin's yields are pretty good for their rents, but the numbers said it could be better, and the Airbnb numbers said it could be better, and so I eventually bit the bullet and did it, and it has been heaps better than the long term rental. Plus, it's been way better looked after. But yeah, that's a story we can dig into.
Oh, way better looked
at the numbers of later.
Way better looked after. Yeah, that was one of my concerns, is like there's far more foot traffic of people going in and out, and there's going to be more damage and things like that. But well, I guess it's been 4 years, right? So what has changed in the Airbnb space, and is it still worth it as an investor? How do you think about that?
Yeah. Okay. So of course it's worth it for an investor, because you just adjust to the new environment, right? There's regulations that are coming, and regulations are a good thing, because they've put some boundaries and perimeters and things, and try and professionalize the industry. It's a fairly new industry, so it professionalizes the industry a little bit and creates a decent standard for guests and for owners and for homeowners around expectations of property managers. So there's that part that is like, there's some regulations that are good. Then there's
I was thinking charging in Victoria, they're charging a 7.5% levy. I don't know how that makes the quality of the asset better. So there are some good rules.
But that levy goes to the guest.
This is it.
The owners don't pay that, right? So if it's a principal place of residence, you don't have to worry about the levy anyway. So if you go away for 12 months, it's your PPOR still. If you have days of longer than 28 days, you then don't have to pay it either. So you could go hard for those 28-day stays and that kind of thing. But the reality is, the guest pays it, not the owner, not the hosts. And look, we haven't really seen, it's been here for, what are we up to? June, 6 months. We haven't seen a heap of Airbnbs suddenly being taken out of the market, and a whole bunch of them now enter the long-term rental market. People are still coming to say, we haven't seen a huge dip in our occupancy. What we do see is changes in, we feel the crunch of cost of living for sure. There's definitely the softening in prices. People aren't staying for as long. Their behaviour is a bit different, so they're booking more last minute, shorter periods of time. But we're still getting the 3 nights and 2 nights here, not the 5 nights and stuff. So people aren't going for as longer breaks.
Who are we talking to for, like, we're going to cover a whole heap of stuff off in this session about Airbnbs and short-term rentals. Like, who are we talking to? Like, what is the audience that would get the most amount of value? Like, we got this person here on YouTube that's just jumped on. We're starting our first short-term Airbnb rental. Like, what's the audience for this chat that we're having?
So I guess your audience are investors, aren't they? So it's really how to maximize your income and returns for your property, really, isn't it? I would say only half of our portfolio are that kind of are investors, and they are really keen for how to maximize their income. How many beds can we fit into this? How many beds and heads can we have in this property without it making it bad? And there's a formula. I like 4 people per bathroom. That's a nice little formula. Except when you've got 6 people.
Yeah.
Except when you've got a 3 by 1 property, of course, but you don't try and jam as many sofa beds in there and rollaway beds in there as you can, right? You'll get complaints. But they've definitely got a bunch of people who are second home owners, and it's a holiday home, but they're probably going to move to the area eventually. They're they're buying 10 years before they're planning to move there, and they're making some money on it in the interim, and they pop up once a year, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's the others who are like, we're buying we're putting on Airbnb to boost our income.
Well, that's the thing now, I think, that makes it very appealing. Like, our audience is property investors that do the set and forget, buy and hold, and then renovations, and then small 1 into 3, 5, 7 subdivisions, things like that. And interest rates have risen dramatically and made property as a whole quite unaffordable and quite difficult to hold. So that's why I wanted to get you on. I mean, this is why we're building this $150,000 of passive income portfolio. We've got 5. We just purchased our 5th property. I think equity wise, we've grown $500,000 in the past 12 months, which is fantastic. But the negative cash flow attached to that is a lot. It is a very challenging. It is a very challenging hold. Actually, the other thing I needed to address is this podcast is always done with Joe and Jeff. So Jeff is obviously sorry. I know Jeff is probably watching this. When are you going to tell people where the hell I am? So Jeff has had his own property issues. It's massive windy, and it's actually super windy and stormy in not stormy, it's just windy in New South Wales, and a tree is overhanging the top of his house and where his podcast studio is, and it's just overhanging. So he's called in the SES, but they're all just chainsawing and chopping the tree up so it doesn't crush and kill anyone. So he's like, I can't be on the podcast. So if anyone's got that. So in saying that, guys, throw in your questions and comments, because this is just Meredith and I having a chat, and it would be awesome. What red or black? I read his name as Red Or, and I was like, that's a fun name, but Red or Black. But yeah, anyone that throws your comments in there, opens this conversation up a little bit more as well. But okay, cool. So in its simplest form, what is an short-term rental? What do we say? Is it they there?
It's called an Airbnb.
Yeah, Airbnb.
STR.
Okay. STR. What is an STR?
So an STR is a home that is fully furnished. It can be, a room or a unit or a house that is fully furnished and accommodates people. They can come and stay for one night or longer term stays. So 3 months and 6 months. Okay. Simplest form.
Easy.
Word of advice though, you just need to be aware of your local, of your state's tenancy laws. So if someone stays over 45 nights in Queensland or 90 days in Victoria, that they have tenancy rights, then there's ways around it and managing it, but you do need to be mindful that they can become squatters in your house and all that kind of stuff. So under 90 days, 89 days, they don't get those rights, and you could kick them out for a couple of days and then bring them back in again, all those kind of things. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, maybe it's worthwhile going through, I don't know if you've got, I know it's a bit hard, but state by state of what are some of the things we need to think about? Because for instance, Victoria have this levy that you need to think about. They've got a 7.5% levy, which is great. You kind of covered that off. It's not really relevant. It's more relevant on the demand side of things rather than it is it's not costing you as anybody, but it does detract a little bit from people wanting to come. What are some of the other rules around the states that we should be aware of?
Yeah, look, there's the cap. It's the cap in New South Wales is the other one. I'm not particularly familiar with South Australia and Western Australia because I don't operate there and haven't sort of dug into there. But and New South Wales, it's got the 90-day cap, and they're trying to get down to 60-day night stays in Byron Bay. That's certainly made the news a lot. And in other areas like Sydney and a couple of other locations, it's 180-day night cap, and
that means
really
over the year, right?
Yeah. So you can have people stay for a month, and that doesn't contribute to your 180-day cap. So you just need to be strategic how you open up and close your calendar. Make sure you get and you have to have a really good revenue and pricing strategy to manage it. So there are thriving properties and thriving short-term rentals in New South Wales. So it is definitely viable. It's just, you just need to be really strategic about your pricing strategy. So you pump up, on those peak weekends when you're going to get all your bookings, peak periods, you have your high prices, you get them all booked out. And if you've hit 180 days or you're really close to it, then you open up your less popular, your midweeks in the middle of winter down in Bateman's Bay. You might open that up for a booking, or you only make it available for a month's time. So you just got to be a bit strategic.
But also the money's made on the weekends, right? And there would be, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and what's that? 4 times 52, that's 208 days. So let's say they don't stay the Monday, 180 days is a shitload. That's a lot of
That's
stays.
Right. School holidays and the weekends,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be, it's like you hear 100, oh my gosh, there's a massive cap on it. It's like, well, yeah, there is, but are you actually going to book? You're not going to book Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I guess when you're starting doing 30, 60, 90, 120 day, 30-day stays, but then you're saying that that's not included as soon as it goes a 30-day stay. It'd be so frustrating having a 25-day stay or a 26-day stay currently.
Yeah. Could you please just take 3 more days? Yep.
Yeah. So the other question is, I guess, we've bought this portfolio focused on capital growth. How should we think about Airbnb? How can I maximize the Airbnb return for my investment? What type of property should I be buying? How should I be thinking about it?
So there's a couple of parts to it, isn't there? So looking at your portfolios, I think you do buy for growth, and that's a great strategy to have. And then you can can Airbnb be added to kind of, rocket boost your income? So it can just be a complementary strategy to add on to your growth strategy anyway, and one that you can switch on and off. So if, I know plenty of investors who just, when the going is good, post-COVID, all that kind of stuff, it's getting back to pre-COVID sort of dynamics now, but if it's still strong and it's still going well, you keep your furniture in there and you keep it switched on. If it dips and something changes, say the legislation does change again, or it's whatever, you just sell your furniture and put it back onto the long-term market. It's not, because it's strong for both, it can work for both. So I think that's a really nice, overall kind of strategy. If you're wanting to get a bit, and look, for me, Airbnb was a bit of a rescue strategy for a dud deal that I did, many, many years ago when I was learning stuff, right? And and I work with a couple of other people who are using it because the deal hasn't gone the way that they thought it was going to go. They were going to be subdividing, and that hasn't worked. They were going to be, flipping it or renovating and selling it, and that hasn't worked. So we're doing another, putting Airbnb in there to try and boost this income and just try and, recoup some costs and sort of just make a deal a bit more viable. So there's a rescue option of it to try and, make something come good. Then there's the really purposeful, let's go and buy a property that there are many drivers for people to come and stay. So it's not just seasonal, like Harvey Bay is an area that we're in, and it is seasonal to a point for sure. It is definitely seasonal. The whale season's on now, July to November. But before, outside of school holidays and all that sort of, you've got all the grey nomads coming in, want to get away from winter. But there's a bunch of construction and stuff going on there too. It's drivable from Brisbane. And so we've got all these trades coming in to do all of these retail work. So they need somebody to stay, and they want houses to stay and that they're self-contained, just not a hotel. So it's got multiple reasons for people to come to an area. Same on, Brisbane, the big cities are good for that too. There's multiple drivers for people to come and stay, and needing a variety of accommodation types. So not just a hotel, but they've got different needs and family dynamics and requirements.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, because like if you want to stay somewhere for 3 months, especially with work from home, like I have a couple of friends that just can't sit still, and they're like, I have to just keep moving. I want to check out Brisbane, I want to check out Victoria, and then they will move for 3 months and then go somewhere, and there's no other choice. Like you can't rent a house for 3 months and then try and furnish it all and try and set it up. Whereas you can just walk in, key turn, go, oh, this is quite nice, I'll stay here. Someone posted in the comment, you can also just rent your investment property furnished to obtain higher rates as well, which I guess there's a couple of ways to do it, I guess, in terms of furniture. Like how should we think about, like, okay, let's just go down this path. Let's say we want to rent our investment property, and what should we be thinking about?
So there's two things that I think about with that. Is you absolutely can. They are harder to get a tenant for. If you talk to any of the long-term letting agents, they're my hardest to get rid of and get tenanted, because people have already got their truckload of furniture they want to put somewhere. But you will eventually get one, and it's not like thousands more. Like it's maybe $100 a week extra, like if that. Like it's not massive. Then you're also responsible for keeping and maintaining not only the property but the furniture. So when the table breaks, you've got to replace it.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I was thinking. Oh, I see what they're saying now. They're saying,
sorry,
you can
I'm
just
answering
rent.
that IP. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I mean, for an investment property furnished, they've got their gear. Like it's like when you have a bond, it's like, oh yeah, I've got to pay a $2,000 bond or $3,000 bond or whatever. It's like, yeah, you just take the bond from your last rental place and put it into the new rental place. It's the same with your fridge, your oven, your furniture. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that's like. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, Meredith. I don't think that you can just pop it in there. But how should I think about furnishing for an Airbnb? Like, is there any like optimization strategies that we should think about? Because for me, first thought, but actually it depends, because it depends if I'm going to go, like we have our block of units in Jalong, which is probably something we're going to talk to towards the end of, is this going to make sense for us? But it's an affordable location. It's an affordable property. And we probably would just go to Facebook Marketplace, get a couple of couches, tables. Like, would that be the best strategy? Or would we go to Freedom Furniture and kit it out? And like, what would be the strategy for an affordable property?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you want to buy furniture that's going to last and be that's not going to be it's IKEA and you're going to be replacing it, but at the same time, you're going to have your budget. Like you're not going to go and buy your high-end expensive. There's a couple if you go brand new, you get the tax depreciation on the furniture. If you sorry, I got distracted by the comment then.
Yeah, the comment came up near hospital. The furnished does very well. I was also thinking like, but surely furnished Airbnbs do well everywhere, because if you're getting an Airbnb unfurnished, probably going to struggle checking in on that stuff.
Yeah, shut down real quick by Airbnb.
Okay, so we can go cheap option. We can go Facebook Marketplace, spend all the time, energy, and effort to do that. But what did you just mention there? Depreciation. So if we buy it all new,
you can go and get brand new stuff. Like go to picking your budget, picking your avatar. So who is going to be your target guest? Are you going to be getting a $120 night guest, or are you getting a $420 night guest? They're going to have different expectations about the quality of furniture. Your $120 night guest, is it going to be okay with your IKEA and your fantastic furniture and that kind of stuff? Your $420 is going to be wanting something a bit more high end. So that matters. Then it's going to be, and if you can get better quality stuff off Facebook Marketplace, and like do it, But yes, brand new, obviously you get the depreciation. You can do a depreciation schedule with that, which I did. Get quality. You're selling sleep, so get decent mattresses. You're selling sleep, so you want to make people, you want to make people comfortable. And then Yeah, I mean, then you need to have fast Wi-Fi and turn on your utilities and that kind of thing. What I find is really clever strategy is, and this is an efficiency, a time efficiency thing. Well, there's two things. You go to a company that does fit outs, who can completely furnish it, like everything, white goods and everything, because they buy by bulk. They get great pricing, and so you can get a wholly fully furnished, set up in 24 hours property, which is very time efficient, decent furniture. You get to pick the kind of style you like in your budget. So I actually think they're really good. The other option is if lots of people are shutting down their Airbnbs or whatever, and if you get into any of the Airbnb Facebook groups, you'll see people wanting to sell off. Oh, I'm selling my furniture, and you buy everything in there for negotiate a price. You pick it up and you take it straight over to your own. So also really time efficient. They've already thought about all the hard stuff, the ironing board, the mattress protectors, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's like set and forget, just move in and done. Yeah. Okay. One of the things, there was a question that came up, and we were kind of touching on state by state. But I didn't touch on this, and I feel like we should, because they said that it's an elephant in the room, and I didn't realize there was an elephant in the room. But go on, Joe. Keep pulling on the thread regarding like state by state rules and regulations. The elephant in the room is government regulation cut downs. What are we talking about here? What kind of government regulations, and how is the government thinking about and helping or hurting the Airbnb space?
Yeah, I mean, I think they want to take their cut, don't they? They definitely want to take their cut. It's been demonized as as taking away, or is impacting affordable accommodation for people. And there's been research done on that that's not completely true. There's been some government policies that have impacted the provision of affordable accommodation. I'm not exactly sure what they're wanting.
Oh, well, so okay, so state by state. So some of the state by state, New South Wales has that 190 80-day cap, 60 night per minimum in Byron Bay. Victoria has that 7.5% Airbnb tax, which is on the other person. Queensland has opted against strict caps, and has not any changes, I don't believe. Western Australia, you don't serve Western Australia, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely got stuff going on over there. I don't. Yeah. I'm not across it. Yep.
Yeah, cool. So this one apparently requires all short-term rentals to register by Jan 1, 2025 on a public register, and unhosted STRAs in Perth Metro will be limited to a 90-day stay. But they're doing it a little bit differently. Actually, I was listening to a podcast ages ago, earlier on in the year, and WA is offering short-term rental stay folks $10,000 to convert or revert their property back into the short-term, the long-term stay market, which I find super interesting. Like WA, like Victoria as a state is just so different to WA on their views of property investing and things. They're actually incentivizing people, whereas Victoria is they got the stick and they whack it down. Tasmania has a 5% stay on short-term accommodation to be paid by the travellers again. South Australia has taken a wait-and-see approach, and other global hotspots in major cities. New York City has some other crazy thing. What have they got in New York? What have they got there?
Oh, I think they shut it right down. Yeah, I don't know if it's opening it back up at all, but they just shut it right down. Completely. Yeah.
What are they? Yeah, why are they? So, because everything just there was a rental cap, like a cap, but also it just sounds like 7.5%. Like they want to just get more money from. There's just a tax, right? It's just a tax on.
Yeah, I mean the Mornington Peninsula is also. Yeah, it is. It's about getting some money. It's about there's also planning. So town planning in Brisbane. In Brisbane and on the Sunshine Coast, your rates are higher if you do short-term rental. So it's definitely and in Brisbane, there are only and on the Sunshine Coast, there's only particular areas that you're allowed to do short-term rental in. Same down on the Gold Coast actually as well. So there's restrictions on where you can do short-term rental. How well policed that's another question, and who's actually doing the policing and how's that being funded? Is it you just sort of get dogged in when the neighbour gets pissed off with you, having too many cars in the driveway or noise or whatever the issue is. Certainly bylaws in Victoria, the new blocks of units have bylaws that prevent short-term rental if they don't want to have Airbnb in there. Yeah. So there's definitely, it is definitely it's very state by state, council by council. Like Victoria's still allowing all local councils to make their own additional laws around short-term rental regulation for their council area, which is very challenging to be across it all and to know what's you need to get to know your particular area.
Well, I think this is why, kind of like to what you said at the beginning, is it sounds like they're trying to make it a little bit harder for this to open up supply of investment to reduce the amount of investment properties so that there's no supply for owner occupiers, right? That's kind of their story of it. The other side of the story is like, well, they just want to get they want to get capital. But what it's looking to me is it's adding a layer of complexity to the transaction and making it a more established formal business rather than just, my name's Betty and I'm renting out my back shed like it used to be. Yeah. It's becoming this real actual business. So as a normal everyday mum and dad investor, is there still opportunity for us to just to do something? Can I make money from this without having without all the work? I don't want to do all the work. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes, you can. Absolutely. Will every property work? No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Do you need to go and do your research? Yes. You need to use tools. Go and put your property into a software like AirDNA. It's called AirDNA. You use their cool tool called Rentalizer, and it'll spit out what your gross income can be, what your occupancy can be, what your average daily rate can be. But what you've got to do is dig into the comparable properties and check that there are comparable properties. Check there's comparable properties that are have been operating for more than 12 months, that are open for 365 days or close to a year, to then go, right, okay, these and find comparable properties that can prove that your type of property can perform a similar way. And then have a look. You can have a look at what amenities do they have that do really well. 100% of them have got air conditioning and Wi-Fi, or the top performers have got pools and heated pools. So you can have a look at what performs really well in that area, and then that'll give you a broad picture. Go, radio, my property is like these or similar to these, and I think that they can achieve this amount gross income. And then you've got to know the numbers about the costs and the expenses, and if you're going to pay somebody to manage it for you, factor that in as well. And I mean, we've got a really broad brushstroke kind of, if the owner can net. If they've got property management, they've got their utilities all turned on, they've paid Airbnb fees, Airbnb charges, they get about 52% of the gross back, that net. So, say the gross is, say 60,000 a year, they'll get about 52% of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 30 grand back. Okay. So, well, let's go down this path of how much does it let's say we want to do it, right? What are the setup costs? What should we be thinking about for the setup? Is it just a couch and a fridge? Are there any other things that we need to, I want to say, I'm coming, I want to do it. We're going to set up an Airbnb. We're going to make it happen because, $500 a week is I can get more than $500. I can get $900 a week instead of $500 a week. And that times by 52 is a pretty big deal. So I'm interested in it. But what are my upfronts going to be? What should I be thinking about?
So you got to turn on your internet. You got to furnish it. So if say it's a 1-bedroom unit, maybe there's 12 grand to furnish that thing decently.
12.
You know, there's no, internet. Set your internet up. Turn on your utilities. You may get a property management company that has an onboarding fee, and so they will. And you have photography. Definitely get professional photos. Highly recommended. Don't fuck around with that.
And is there a specific, like, I see the real estate photography, is there like a Airbnb photography? Like, is there a better way to take photos in an Airbnb than there is a standard resi property?
Oh, look, resi, there's some quirks and slight differences. Absolutely. Like, I like to put, the glasses of wine, like set up a little vinaigrette about, how someone could use the property when they come to stay. Don't put things in there that they can't use when they're in there. But, you need to, like, we provide a bottle of wine as a guest gift. And so we'll have that in there. But we don't bring in all this beautiful stuff that they'll never get, for the pictures that they'll never get to see. Make it real, make it honest, make it attractive. And, get a good hero shot, because your first 5 photos are what's going to sell your property. And, you need to have, make sure you can get the beautiful first 5 photos that kind of really, stop people scrolling and stop to book at your property. It could be the outside, depending on where you are. So if you're near the ocean, of course, you probably want an ocean. If you've got a view, show the view. And if you're near, I don't know, say you're near, you're in Albert Park in Melbourne, and you're going to be there for the Formula, you get Formula One views, like tell everybody about that, right? Tell people where you are and what you've got to offer.
Right, so great. Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry, that's off the track. So costs. You might have some onboarding fees. There's no cost to start up with Airbnb. You can list your property. You'll have to turn your utilities on. And then your cost will start when guests move in. Apart from your setup costs of furniture and photography.
Yeah, that's it. So furniture, so about 10 to 15 on furniture, microwave, fridge.
When I did my 2-bedder unit, I did about 17.
17. Okay, cool.
That was in Darwin, so stuff can be pricey.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So 7. So yeah. Okay. So 10 to 20, somewhere in between there, and then this onboarding fee. What's that typically cost?
So some property managers, not us, can do an onboarding fee, because it takes a lot of time for us to set up a property, and we create house manuals for you, and we optimize we coordinate all that stuff. We work with you about, give you all the checklists. And the other thing, sorry, I forgot, you have to get your insurance. You have to pay, but you've got to pay insurance anyway, landlord insurance, but make sure you get short-term rental specific insurance.
Oh, how much more is that?
No, not heaps more.
Yeah, just
maybe
okay.
Much more.
And what's this whole house manual? You got to have a house manual? What the hell's that?
I have a house manual, absolutely. So I don't have one sitting around here, but you can, tell them where to go and eat. Tell them how to use the washing machine. Tell them how to use your quirky coffee machine that you bought, that's really fancy. Tell them how to, make sure they know how to turn the TV on. Have a smart TV, for goodness sake. People these days are like, I don't know how to use the HDMI. I just need to turn Netflix on. It's how to use your property, how to reduce friction in your property so you don't get bad reviews. This is all about achieving 5-star reviews. Whatever platform you're on, it's about achieving as high a review as you can and reducing the friction for guests and helping them have an amazing experience and create memories in your property.
Yeah. Okay. Are there what are some of the are there any hacks that you've seen? You're just like, that's so genius. You like great idea. That's how you should get reviews. Like I remember once I stayed in an Airbnb in the Blue Mountains, and on the there were just a bunch of jumpers and jackets and things, and then before you like opened it up, it was like, we know that you didn't prepare for this. You don't realize how cold it is here, so we've got you all of these jumpers and jackets. And it's like, that's so thoughtful. Like, great. Yes, I didn't think about bringing my. I'm from the Blue Mountains. I live there, and I used to live there. And I totally forgot. And they've got all these jumpers and jackets and stuff. It's like those are little things. But are there any hacks that we can do to get some 5 stars? Because I imagine it's all like algorithmic, and you know, you got to, the better the review, the more people that are going to come and see it and stay. Any little hacks?
Oh, look, absolutely. Like so the thing as an investor though, you don't want to be hands-on. And if you're using a property manager, they're not going to be doing, the unique honey from around the corner. But those things would really matter, If you're living local to yours, if you're running your own and you can do something that just just makes people feel magic, of course, something local, something special. But just be generous to a point, have the salt and pepper, have the olive oil, have a bottle of wine or a box of chocolates on arrival, have a high chair, have tick as many things on. If it's a family friendly property, like make it family friendly, make it pet friendly, make it disability friendly. Like all of those things will open your market up. If you are generous in terms of just having, some spices and that sort of, people will love it. If you've got enough cutlery for everybody, if you've got, a rice cooker plus a sandwich maker, people love that stuff. And they're not hard. They're like $15 from Kmart, that kind of stuff. So just don't be stingy, but you don't have to go overboard either. You don't have to go and go, oh my God, I'm going to spend $10,000 on all the appliances. You just need to have the coffee machine, the stuff that you need when you wake up in the morning, the stuff, So one little hack, put popcorn in. So when people get there late at night, they've forgotten to go to the shops before they get there, and all the shops are shut, have some popcorn in there, a little bit of milk, tea, coffee, sugar, that kind of stuff. Is really, families love that.
How much popcorn do you eat as a family? That is literally.
Do you know what? When your kids get there and they're screaming and they're tired, and you're like, oh, thank God.
Maybe that's it. Okay, so initial setup cost, we should be thinking around 10 to 20 grand. So, 12 to 20 grand, somewhere around there, if we're to establish it. Okay, cool. Well, we got to jump to our first sponsor. The questions. Guys, jump in the questions here. Actually, here's a great thing. Like, I would use a QR code instead of having physical manuals. I would love to have. I prefer the physical manual. It feels like someone's put a little bit more effort in, but it is great to have all of it. Exactly. Have it on there where you can scan a QR code. And also, I would say have a QR code where they scan it. It opens up a review, and then they just click a review. That would even help.
Absolutely. You have multiple requests for views, multiple different places. You have a hard manual for the people, like my dad still needs to read his hard manual, but then there's all the other people who want to have it on their phone. So have it in multiple ways.
Great. That's a very good point. Yeah. So anyone that's got any questions, we will next kind of be diving in about, okay, well, am I going to, so, I'm a busy professional. I haven't got time to manage my Airbnb. So should I be using a management company? How should I be thinking about it? What should I be doing if I'm running it myself? What should I expect from a management company? And then also, is this actually going to be profitable for the Oz property portfolio? Are we going to turn into Airbnbers? What are we called? What do we call ourselves? Am I there yet? We will find out. Okay, let's jump in.
Oh, Jeff, I wish there was 3 investing books that covered everything property.
Oh, Joe, there is. Steve has 3 books now.
That I do, guys. I've got 3 books now. You probably don't even have to follow this group anymore. Just kidding. You want to keep seeing and hearing from me, of course, so stay involved. But in all seriousness, if you want to get the full picture of investing, residential, commercial, and development, these 3 books have you covered for the fundamentals. For OzProp members, here's the best part. I'm giving these books to you for free. Just cover the postage and I'll send them right to your door. Go to policeyproperty.com or click the link below and get your copies today. You can also get all my spreadsheets, checklists, and resources free on my website. Happy reading, gang.
Happy reading, gang. Happy reading. Okay. So the question is, should I be doing this myself? Should I be doing it, or should I just be hiring a company? How should I? Let's go down the path of I just don't even want to go down the path of doing it myself. It sounds like a headache. But let's go down the path. How do we do it ourselves, high level? What should we be thinking about as an investor? What are some of the slip ups that you see, every day, less busy Joes going out there and doing it?
Yeah. If you are cleaning it all yourself and doing it all yourself, it's personal, and you get upset when you get a 4-star review, and you get a bit distressed. When you're doing it yourself, you may be not using a revenue manager. You may not be using any pricing tools.
Yeah.
You most definitely need to be using a pricing tool. You may not be if you're doing it yourself, across all the different platforms. So Airbnb, Booking.com, Vrbo, which is home, away and stays. You might not have a direct booking site. You want to drive people to your direct booking site so you don't pay those Airbnb fees. So if you're doing it yourself, but you might be all across all those things, and you've set up your website, and you've got a property management software, and you linked it all in, and you're not getting any double bookings. You've got a pricing tool linked in, so you're optimizing your pricing. You're still getting a ding at 11 o'clock at night when someone says the internet's not working, or I've locked myself out of the property. So yeah, it's that stuff. It's a 24/7 business. Even though you have all the tools and things, you have 2 lock boxes, you have backup codes, you have backup batteries, and all that kind of stuff to sort of, because you'll learn what the frequent questions are. You have your house manual with all of your relevant information. You're still 24/7. You're still the person that someone needs to call when something happens, or they want to change their booking and they don't know how to work the platform or something like that.
Yeah, especially if they log onto your website and then you've got some random error, and then it's like, because I think the Airbnb platform's pretty intuitive. It's pretty easy to work with, but then
so we've got is a nightmare, and if you haven't, it's a beast, and if you haven't got, but it's a beast that you want to be on, because they've got like, whatever, I don't know, 15 million users or something like. They've got the most users.
Wow.
Yes. So you want to be on Booking.com, but you just need to make sure your calendars are synced. And I've helped so many people going, I can't get my calendar to sync. We're just trying to work through getting their calendars to sync so they don't get double bookings.
Could I now I'm thinking, like, with my business hat on, can I just hire someone in the Philippines? Like, I pay someone.
Yes.
And then they just answer the phone. Get AI to answer the phone. Actually, that's such a great idea. You could literally get AI to answer the phone. Feed it the manual, and they will just give it. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely, really? That's all happening. Absolutely. Yep. So there's definitely AI. There's definitely bots. You've definitely got offshore assistance with being available and being a responsive 24/7. You've been responding within 1 hour, all that kind of stuff. So yes, it's all there, and it's all happening.
I see the AI space being incredibly interesting, because I feel like in 5 years' time, it's going to sound so stupid. Like, oh, I just had a chat with an AI. Someone like cold called me trying to sell me a domain. Like, oh, you own, property investing, blah, blah. Do you want to buy this domain? And then I was like, okay, great. You're AI, obviously. But then I started talking to it and asking it questions, and it gave me some incredible answers. I was like, well, why would this domain be good for me? And they understood my business, and they're like, well, you run a property investing business. You would get benefit from property investing, and did this. And if they do have all of your manuals, like, you could just jump on the phone and say, where are the best restaurants around town? Like, not even on the phone, in your app, on your website, you could click, where are the best restaurants? 2 kilometers that way. Yeah. out the window, you can see that shop, turn left, it's there. Super interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. So any other kind of optimization strategies for an individual, like some of the tools, tricks and tips that they could be thinking if they're going to go ahead and do it their own, any kind of quick wins that they can get?
Have a brilliant cleaner. Your
Yeah,
cleaner
actually,
makes
that
or
would be the
breaks your
biggest one.
business. If
Yeah.
you're doing it for sure, but have a backup for yourself when you're sick. If you can't,
Yeah.
if you're, have a great cleaner who's got an eye for detail. And
yeah, what that for me has always been the sticking point, the team of cleaners. Like the everything else is easy, like is for me, it can make sense. It's the digital world, it's online, but it's the physical. Someone has to go there every single, like you have a 3-day visit or a day visit, and then you've got another 5 days, and then you got another 2 days. Someone has to go there each time and do it. And then you've got to manage that person every single time. And I've got a cleaner that helps clean the office, and all the time I'm getting a message, oh, I'm not coming today. Oh, why? Because my dog, ate the cat, or, I don't feel well. And it's just a nightmare. So when we're looking at it from a property, I'm a property investor. I don't have time hat on. I'm going to pay a property manager to do it. Like what involvement do you need? What does that look like? How should I think about that?
As a property investor, if you're going to engage a property manager, you want them to take care of all of that. So you hand them the keys, they work with you to set it up, you hand them the keys, and then you just get paid once a month. That, or whenever, whatever's agreed. That's what you want. Or that, if you want that, they communicate with you about, any maintenance things, but they will operate like a long-term property manager and coordinate the trades to go and fix any of the maintenance stuff and just get your consent for it. So you want someone who has experience. You want someone who has good networks and trades and teams that they work with. You want them to be spot checking the cleans to just keep that standard up, and that they value that, and they're not just sort of deferring it all. And you want them to be available to communicate with you. So when you have got a question, that they're not, you don't have to wait 10 days to get a response, that you can, get answers to your questions pretty quick. That's what I think is important about a property manager.
How do I vet that? Like, how do I, what are some of the red? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What are the red flags? So what's the red flag? So are they, if you've got I'm your property owner, and I've looked at the calendar and it looks blocked, and I want to have a conversation about that, because, Airbnb suddenly blocks for no reason, or, you want to know, and because you're looking at your property and you're super keen. How booked out am I? Can you see it? Do they have a portal that you can have a look on, so you can see where all your bookings are and how your performance is? Are they using trust accounting software? Can you get annual statements? How do they work with their cleaners? Do they vet their cleaners? Do they have insurance? Do they have, how do they spot check the quality of the work? Or do they just rely on the cleaner to do everything? There'd be some of the questions I would be asking. And how long have they been in the business?
How do they
have their own?
That's true.
Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no. How do we spot check? Like, I didn't even think that was a thing. And I guess that's it. You go in by your own. You're like, well, what spot check? What?
Spot check. So if you've got a cleaner going in and they're doing their job, they're humans, right? And they're like, I'm having a bad day and I forgot to check. I forgot to put the bin bag out, or I forgot to open the microwave and there was something exploded in there. So sometimes it's just, you get them to take photos. They're human. They've done 4 cleans that day. Yours is the last and they're exhausted. They just want to go home, right? So, but you have checklists. You get them to take photos. They've got to take photos of particular things. Like, these are all the systems we have in place to sort of get that quality control. Does it fall down? Of course. And that's why you go and spot check. Is there dog hair around? Is everything, or is there enough toilet paper for the next guests? Is the bottle of wine out? Is the welcome book out? So I have a cleaning checklist. I've got the list of photos you need to take. We've got the spot checker checklist. And the latest addition to that is, have the dog bones been picked up out of the backyard? Because the next person doesn't like their dog eating your last guest dog bones.
What do you mean dog bone? What, that's on the list of
It's on the list.
dog...
It's my latest addition to the list because, we didn't check the dog bones in the backyard, and the next guest's dog had to sniff them. Anyway, I didn't
well,
like it.
Go.
Yes.
There you go. So,
but you want to make sure there's no hair. Like, everyone hates hair, right? Make sure there's no hair around. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some of the like challenges that we will face and we need to think about as a property investor who's thinking about going down the Airbnb route? Like, how should we think about this?
Look, I think if your property manager's not performing, then you're not going to be getting, and your reviews start to go down, it's going to impact your revenue. So that's a critical part. You need to be, whilst you don't have to do anything on the day-to-day management, guest communication, any of that kind of stuff, like, have a good relationship with them and ask questions and check it every 3 months, like, how are we going and how are my reviews going? I think so. Property manager. What else? So what else do you need to think about? You need to have a look at the numbers. Like, is it actually performing? And you need to be prepared to take the ebbs and flows. This is a critical one, actually. And I think this is where investors who are really stressed about the money, because it's like really fine line for them, it's hard to do Airbnb because of the ebbs and flows of the income. You need to have a 12-month period to see that full ebb and flow and be able to get all the money in the peak times and have it for the slow times. If you need consistent income, then it's not going to be ideal for you. But if you're not super stressed, it's definitely something you can take a plunge with.
What are some of the easy wins? Like, what are some of the things that are like an awesome plus that normal everyday investors don't think about?
Get to stay in it.
You get what?
You get to stay in it. You get to stay in your property.
Didn't think about that. Think about that. Yeah.
You get to stay in it, and potentially, like, we're looking at setting up a program now that if you're with us, you can choose to opt and put your property into the pool and go and stay at someone else's for nothing, So
it's like a timeshare.
It's like a timeshare, but for free, kind of, loyalty. Thing,
Yeah, loyalty credit timeshare.
A loyalty credit, go and stay in someone else's property. Yeah.
Okay. And then what are some of the other easy things, like some of the good things that you're just like, actually, that is a good one, being able to stay in it. What are some of the other pros? I guess having furniture as well. Once you've kind of like exhausted it, you can, I don't know, maybe not get new furniture because your style is probably not going to match IKEA a lot. I don't know, what else?
For me, for my own personal property, it's definitely been the care of the property. So my property manager, and this is on me as well, that I set and forget too much with this property manager. It didn't get inspected for 12 months, and it was a mess. Like, my property is pristine now compared to that.
That would be a massive one, vetting the property manager and making sure that they get the best. You kind of alluded to a couple of questions to ask them. Okay, cool. So characteristic wise from a property, is there any like I guess like underrated locations or characteristics or things that we need to think about, like universities, like FIFO, hospitals. You know, I can imagine hospitals are the best place for an Airbnb, because you go to a hospital, you don't know if you're going to be there for 5 minutes or 5 weeks at times. But yeah, is there any kind of like things like that that we should optimize for?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was talking about before, like, those the multiple reasons for someone to stay. So anywhere where it's got a view, or it's near some water, or or it's near an attraction, because then you get both employees coming to stay as well as holiday makers coming to stay. Not the super highly seasonal places, but I wouldn't go, the fly in, fly out workers stuff it's ad hoc. It's regional. It's just, I wouldn't be doing it. But if like for the like Hervey Bay, I'm in that market, so I kind of understand it a bit better. But yeah, there's definitely people coming up, like doctors and insurance, they're good. The interesting there, it's insurance bookings is another space I think that is really is really interesting space. So and they're interesting. We get a lot of requests for, because they're sort of in the people who are needing insurance places to stay for insurance reasons because something's happened in their house. So they're in the suburbs, and so they're not in the town centre, or they're in the slightly suburbs.
Townsville, for instance, right? Like flooded a couple of months back, 6 months back, maybe 5 months back. So of course, those people would all now have to stay somewhere for 3-6 months until the insurance. Okay.
Yeah. Harvey Bay was the same, right? So heaps. Right. So they're great. They're awesome bookings, 3 month, stays, month stays, that sort of stuff. But what I see is if you can make it pet friendly, quick win. Like it's a huge, much bigger market. Everyone's got their dog, their cat, their budgie. So if you can be pet friendly, that's great. The other sort of market you can tap into, and this is about the house product rather than the location, is can it be step free? Can it have a wider door? Particularly if you're building anything, think about these things, because it is a completely underserviced market, the accessibility market. So not just wheelchairs and fully, hoist. You don't have to do the full hoist, but just a step free shower, have a wide door and a wide entrance, have good lighting. Like these are just simple things that you can do, or when you're doing a renovation, to think about that you can. It totally expands your market, because we've got an aging population. And we've got, we often get asks for, have you got a step-free accommodation? So, they're good things. Step-free. Step-free showers, step-free entry.
Like, I guess if we're looking, like as a property investor, we're going out there, I've not considered too much about steps. Like obviously for units and things, it's great to be on the bottom floor. And then it's also great to be on the top floor if you've got views.
Or have a lift.
Oh yeah, you have a lift. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Have a lift.
Yeah,
I know that makes it more expensive for your body corporate, but you'll have more guests because you've got a lift than stairs.
Oh,
and you want the lift because you want the view on the top floor.
Nice. Okay.
So just back to accessibility, like you can do simple, even if you've got your property now, you can do simple things to make it accessible by putting little rubber ramps down, and they're quick wins. You can put, family friendly are quick wins. So have an enclosed backyard if you've got a house. Have a porta cot and have a high chair, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Sorry, I've gone back to the product rather than the locations again.
No, well, I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, I guess it's just where would you want to stay, and where do you need to stay at times, right? Like, I want to go to Townsville. I want to kind of be around the water. I want to see, I want to be able to walk into town. I want to be able to get access to the shops. And it's not too dissimilar to normal everyday kind of investing, right? One of the things that I think probably is a little bit like counterintuitive from an investment is like units. Like units aren't a massive market in, the space like our Oz property investment space. We don't see a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, I bought this unit, because the growth isn't there. But I think that that would probably be a product that does quite well on Airbnb to boost the yield, but then you don't have that, that capital growth play. But do units work well? Like, is that units, townhouses?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. So we've got a townhouse in Brunswick that just goes gangbusters. Like, I can't remember like the percentage difference between a long term and a short term, and I mean it has grown. It's gone up in value as well since we've been doing it. It's great. But a unit, and we've got a unit in and 1 bedroom unit in South Brisbane, and it's got like a 98% occupancy in the first quarter of this year, because you've got travellers, you've got a couple coming to stay, you've got business people, and you've got holiday makers. So CBDs are great for that. Melbourne CBD's similar. I would say if you are looking for a property in the CBD, units are amazing. They are. Do something with a car park. It will. A property with a car park, unit with a car park, will always get booked over a property without one, because people are driving in, they want to park their car for free and then jump on all the public transport.
Yeah, Jesus. You
also,
really have to think.
Your cleaner has got nowhere to park and they will potentially not turn up if they haven't got anywhere to park, or they'll charge you more to cover the cost of their parking. So I find we're reluctant to take on properties to manage that don't have car parkings in the CBD, because it's just such a challenge and just such a deterrent.
Wow. Yeah. The return's just not there.
Yeah. It's just the vacancy's higher because they're booked last over, ones with car parks.
Yeah. Well, there is quite a massive difference. It's like, I was looking at, like car parks when we were years ago when we were looking up a unit, and it was like a $60,000 difference or $80,000 difference to buy one. But I also was thinking, like, I know this old person here would absolutely sell me their car park for $20,000-$30,000, and then I can have a house. I could buy the unit for $60,000 cheaper, and then buy the car park off of her for $20,000. But it does, like, people are just, I got to drive, I got to get in. Like, everyone's got a car nowadays. Okay, I'm keen to see what the portfolio looks like. Should we be doing this? Before we do that, we've got to jump to our final ad. But which deal? Have a think about which deal you want to dive into, and then we can which deal you want to actually go through. We won't go through all 5 properties. It would be a bit ridiculous. It would be a bit boring for the audience. Anyone that's got any questions as well, throw them in the little question box there. And let's give it a red hot crack.
Everywhere you look, someone else is making money in property except for you. Your mate, he just bought a house that's already gone up $100,000. There's some bloke on Facebook, he's bragging about pulling in a 7% rental yield. Meanwhile, you're stuck scrolling real estate and domain, confused as hell, and having no idea about where to start. Or maybe you're that mate that's got $100,000 in equity. You have a few properties under your belt, but you feel stuck. You're unsure about how to scale without over-leveraging and not knowing what the next right move is. So why does it feel like everyone else has some kind of secret that you're missing out on? It's because they do. There's a reason some people keep stacking properties while others sit on the sidelines stacking excuses. There's a reason why some investors buy under market value while others pay too much. There's a reason why investors know the hot spots before there's any heat. And there's a reason that some people build $150,000 in passive income while others just spend years thinking about it. And it comes down to knowledge. And that's exactly why Jeff Miles and I, Joe Tucker, created the Level Up Property course to hand you the exact step-by-step process that we've used to buy over $100 million worth of property in today's market. We've built Australia's largest property investment community with over 80,000 members, and we help everyday investors secure hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity, all without wasting years of their life trying to figure it out the hard way. Making an uneducated decision on the biggest purchase in your life is just gambling with your future.
Stop it. Get some help.
And this isn't just another how to buy property course. Let's be clear though, this course isn't free. What? And neither should it be. This is our life's work. We've spent over 100 hours each on this course alone. Oh, babe. Okay, video number 3. Number 4 with million does... Fuck. Done. We've got decades of experience, millions of dollars in deals distilled into a repeatable process that you can take away for yourself. If you're looking for free advice, there's plenty of noise out there. You can go and find that if you'd like. But if you want real, actionable, step-by-step guided process that works in today's market, then this investment is going to change everything for you. By the time that you finish this course, you will have full confidence. You'll have every tool that you need to build an amazing portfolio if you act on it, right? Which is why we have mentoring built in. So we kick you up the butt to make sure that you're kicking your goals. So the real question is, how much longer are you going to watch everyone else making money in property before you jump in and start playing the property game properly? Because the sooner you start winning.
It's ridiculous.
Love it.
Ridiculous, man. Absolutely
So
ridiculous. It was funny. We have someone who makes the videos for us. She's like, I've run out of memes. I've run out of GIFs and memes, and I've run out of jokes. Guys, help me out here.
She's nailed it. Very good.
Good. Well, it is pretty crazy though. Like, it's like what I'm taking away. Well, we haven't even spoken about the numbers, and I feel like as property investors, the numbers are the most important thing. We've spoken about the numbers of the cost in, but like right now, and the norm, and this is what you should expect as a property investor. It will be negative if you go out there and buy an investment property right now, with interest rates at 6.5%. That's the bank's yield, right? The bank's gross yield, right? The gross yield, you'll go out there, you could expect 3.5% to 5%, somewhere in between there as an everyday investor. If the bank's yield is 6.5%, you're always going to be negative, right? Because it's 6.5% versus a 4, 5, 6% yield. Well, not 6% yield in residential. So you're always going to be a negative cash flow. So it's a super interesting. I see so many people coming into property and being like, oh, interest rates are only, when they were at 2%, I hear all these things about it's positively geared and positively. It's like, no, it's not. But if you're willing to do a little bit of things, you could drop that dramatically. So which one are we looking at? Which one can we chat to, Meredith? Which deal you want to go through?
Look, let's do Townsville just because it's simple and it's one. I mean, I think the Jalong ones have probably got more potential, but there's 4 of them, so it's units. So let's go. Yeah. Okay.
Hang on, let me zoom in somehow. Okay, so just for a bit of an FYI for the absolute raging fans, for the people that aren't raging fans of this community, last year, Jeff and I opened up our kimono and we decided to publicly buy investment properties together as a part of the Oz property investment community. And our goal is to build a passive income to $150,000. Right now, we've acquired 5 properties and we have done really well out of it. It is negatively geared. So we do need to increase the cash flow to, be able to afford to hold it and continue holding it and continue buying. Which is why, well, not the main reason we got you on, Meredith, but I'd love to hear. So Meredith has kindly ran a report for us. So what are we looking at here? Give us the run through.
So it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath house, And so I put it through our software, and it said you can get 63% occupancy with an average daily rate of $166, which gives you a gross projected revenue of about $38,000. That's pulling data. That pulls data from VRBO and Airbnb. It doesn't factor in Booking.com data, which is interesting.
Okay, so right now, so that's gross. Right now, we're getting $440 a week in rent.
Mm-hmm.
So your my gross rental, you can't see it unless you really
I can
zoom
see it.
in.
We can see it.
Oh, you can see it. It is 20. So we're getting 22,880. So essentially, you're getting 38,000. So you're adding $16,000 more to the bottom line. $16,000, $16 additional $1,000 to the bottom line. Okay.
Yeah, but expenses are a lot more.
You've got my attention. Got my attention.
Yeah.
Sorry, what did you say?
But expenses are a lot more, so you got to dig down. So I think
So
I
what's
then
the daily
did,
rate? I mean, so that's a commute like averaged out over the 12 months, or I put this online for $166.
That's right. And so 63% occupancy. So that averages to be about, I don't know, what's that like? It's kind of 19 nights booked a month.
That's a lot. That's a
It's
lot
a
more
fair
than I
bit.
expected.
Yeah.
Is there a number we should be aiming for from the occupancy standpoint? Like, should I be, don't even bother if you're at 50% occupancy, or like if you expect, how do we think about it?
It depends on the property. So if you are a large house on the Mornington Peninsula and you're getting 50% occupancy but $2,000 a night, no problems. If you are, I'll take it. If you are a 1-bedroom unit in the back of Tamworth and you only get occupied during country music festival and an occasional weekend, and it's 50% occupancy and it's 100, like, it's just not worth it. It's not great.
Yeah.
So it depends on the property and location. But I love anything over 75%. I just think it's worth looking into some more.
75. I have a question that actually I should have asked before, but is there a price range that is the optimum like balance? Like, should I be buying a am I? So I stayed at an Airbnb. I stayed at an incredibly ridiculously, like, it was like $1,200 for 2 nights for our anniversary, and just stupid. Is that the way to go? Or is the everyday Aussie $166 like overall, obviously, because you've got more expenses, you've got better furnishings, you've got better things. Like, where's the opportunity here, actually? Sorry, I know we're meant to be talking about this, but actually, where is the opportunity?
I think that's a really hard question. I just don't think it's that. I just don't think it's that simple, and there's not. It's not that black and white. I do think because it's about the better the. It's a hard. I couldn't give you a straight answer on that. I think one of our highest.
What were you going to say? The better the property.
The better the property, but there's 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms, I think, are great because it's not a fully flooded market. It's open to. I really love 3-bedders. Families,
over 4 bed, 2
workers.
baths.
Yeah, 3 bed, 4 bed. There's just a nice sweet spot in that 3 bed, 4 bed, 3 beds. Yeah, they just do really well. I don't know, but you can chuck 3 by 2, and you can put an extra sofa bed in there, and but quality, but nicely furnished, not the shitty beach shack. I mean, they'll work okay, but just a bit higher quality than that. Have done really well. We've got this amazing property in Brisbane. It's beautiful, but it's and the nightly rates much higher, but occupancy's not as high because it's not as affordable. And they've got beautiful high-end furnishings in there, but they bought them with the furnishings, so it's a bit of a different deal. So it's just there's so many parts, I can't tell you
Yeah, and
Sweet
it will
spot.
also
But
be location. It would also be location dependent, avatar, like what you called it, avatar dependent of who are the people that are coming, when are they coming. Like if someone's staying for a hospital visit, they want all the comfort, but they don't want all the flash. You don't need to be flashy for that.
Needs to be
Country music
affordable.
festival needs to be affordable and not flashy and not ridiculous. So yeah, it really does depend. And do you talk?
But
I
the
guess,
other bit is the volume of similar product in the market. So your competition. So the three bedders, there's not as many in the market, particularly in say somewhere like Melbourne. There's heaps of 1 or 2 bedders, heaps. So it's really competitive. Not as competitive for three bedders, and that's why they do well.
And that's why they do it. Okay, well, let's go back to Townsville because this product that we have is a 2-bed, 2-bed, 1 bath that has a large living and connected kitchen area. But it's not in the heart of town. Like it is on the outskirts. It is residential. You do have to, I mean, you could walk. It's probably like a 15-minute walk to get to shops. But I don't know. Is this the type of thing that's going to do well? So estimate. Okay, so we've already got we're up $16,000 already. So how? Give us the example of breakdown of costs. Okay, give us the breakdown. What are we looking at here?
So ignore that long term side, but yeah. So for a monthly, the gross is, the accommodation fare would be $3,154 gross. Cleaning fees would be, about $600 for the month, and so the reason
for the month. What for 19 stays?
Yeah, but that's probably like 3 stays. So that's $200 to clean something. So, and I've gone regional, so that's probably a bit cheaper.
Okay.
So
cool. So $3,700 per month.
And the reason I have included the cleaning fee in there, in addition to the accommodation fare, and this is where it gets a bit nuanced, is because Airbnb takes their 15% plus GST on that total income. They take their cut off the cleaning fee as well. So you've got to factor that in.
So what Airbnb is that times 15%?
So you can see that down in the expenses column. It's $619.
Yeah.
For the month.
Okay.
If you have a
GST.
property manager, so it's 16.5%. If you have a property manager, another tip actually, check how they charge their commissions. So we charge our commissions on the nightly rate, so the accommodation fare minus the Airbnb fees, and we don't take any cut of the cleaning fee.
Oh, okay. Well, that's massive.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big change. Yep.
I mean,
so
that's.
If you use
I
a
mean,
manager
as
like
as a property investor, I would just be like, okay, as someone that's just off the street, I'd be like, okay, well, you just charge. Well, yeah, I get the income, so you should charge it. But that's a great question. So, what's the question? Do we ask? Do you take it off the total?
The question is, how do you calculate? Yeah, how do you calculate your commissions? Is it are you getting commissions off the Airbnb fees as well, or after Airbnb take their fees?
Interesting. Okay. There's a question that's come up here, and I don't know if we're at that point in the. I guess we're at this revenue stage. Do you use dynamic pricing, and what the hell is dynamic pricing?
100% we use dynamic pricing, and we in fact have a revenue manager on top of that. So we take, like, revenue is everything. Revenue, guest communication, and cleanliness are everything. So we use Price Labs. They are one of the most common. They're very affordable. You can plug them into Airbnb directly. You can they're fantastic. And there's a whole strategy that you apply.
So dynamic pricing would be, okay, we haven't had a booking yet. It's Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. We have this weekend open. We're at $166. Let's drop it down to $144. And it does you do all the calculations, you do all the math to work out, great, we're going to charge $140. Yes, we're going to lose revenue. Yes, we're going to lose that $20, but we're going to gain a booking because of that. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And so yes, exactly right. So your dynamic pricing, you can set it up that it can have rules that if you get like it's 7 days out and there's no bookings, you can drop the price down by 20%. If you can set it up that you've got 2 bookings, but you've got a 1 night gap, it can normally have a 2 night minimum stay, but you can allow it to fill that orphan night so you can get more occupancy. It will look at demand and pacing and a whole bunch of different factors. And so if you far out in advance, it'll push the price up by 50% or whatever, depending on the demand. It can see themes, so Christmas, Christmas holidays, all that kind of stuff. It can see themes and demand that it'll adjust the price. So you it's not a set and forget, but it's a really great safety blanket that you're not going to miss out on income because you haven't adjusted for Christmas quite yet, and somebody, your calendar suddenly opened and you're like, oh my, and someone got a bargain for Christmas Day, and you're like, no, I meant to be having a 20% markup on that.
Oh,
so it's,
and I wouldn't do that as a busy person, as a normal, busy professional. I wouldn't do that at all. There's no way I would look forward and think about this kind of stuff. Okay,
and then it's like, okay, cool. Table.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, cool. Well, I just lost, I don't know, what would be a booking would be worth $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, and then your management fee is starting to make a little bit more sense. Obviously, so 22%. So you look at 8%. It's amazing how much percentages just make a massive difference to the numbers. So 558. The reason for this is obviously the amount of there's a lot more admin, there's a lot more touch points, it's a lot more expensive to run a property management Airbnb business than it does an everyday investment business.
Oh, 100%. It is, very much more, highly more active, busy.
Okay, so and then we've got Airbnb fees, we've got utilities, cleaning and linen. Which is just someone changing the sheets and cleaning the place up, which is great. So
as you can see, the cleaner's wages, and linen, 600 so the guest pays the cleaning fee and you just pay the cleaner. Like it can be a 600 and 600 straight, exchange there. Anyway, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
So the difference. Okay, I'll just stop playing with your numbers. So you were giving us 542. No, we've only got 440. It's bugger all.
No. This is a month. This is a month though. 440. What are you getting monthly on yours?
Oh, well, it would be
440 a week, is it?
Times by 4 is 1,700.
Yeah, so it's different. Yeah.
Okay. So then 440, 1,760. Okay, cool. Well, let's do the numbers correctly. Times by 8% would be $140. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, okay.
That's different. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. 1,700. And then what would this? So net.
So it'd be 1,700 minus 143. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 1,600. Oh, what?
Yeah.
1,617. Well, shit. Now we're not very different at all.
No.
Oh, okay. This is why you said I wouldn't. So at the outset, before we even jumped on this show, Meredith was saying, you know what, for the Townsville deal, I wouldn't bother. That's kind of what you wouldn't do it. This is a no.
This is a no, but this is the crunching the numbers, and it's the Jalong ones that are interesting. But this is the crunching the numbers, right? And the other thing I think for viewers to think about is why else is the numbers are close, but the other thing is the comparables aren't there to verify the short-term rental numbers either. Yeah. So this is a no example.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, cool. Okay, so it doesn't make much of a difference. The numbers just aren't stacking up. The revenue is great. The revenue is great in June, July, August. Then it tapers off, and then it goes comparable properties. And you ran through comparables. 170 for this one, 60% occupancy, 1 bed here, similar. This one has how much did this one? 167 with a pool. Mine definitely doesn't have a pool.
Yeah, that's just my stuff at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so hell no, we're not doing it for Townsville. To be honest,
No.
I expected that because of the location. I think if we had this position somewhere else, I think that it would like holiday destination. People would love it. There's a lot of people coming to Townsville for
Yes.
to test it out.
Townsville's
to
not a
test
no
everything.
market.
Mm.
Townsville, particularly around the city centre, is definitely a viable option. Yep.
So these type of like number crunching. Okay, well so that didn't work. What does it working look like? I'm more as great as it is to lose money, how do I make money? That's what I'm more interested in.
I mean,
So
you can have a look. Do you want to pull up the example of the Jalong block if you want to? Or
well, no, I was thinking more.
The Parak one. Okay, so this is my property. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I just took some numbers here. So
here we go.
Yep.
This is the juicy stuff.
Yeah. So the annual rental income. This is what we got in the last 12 months. Was 47,500.
Okay.
If it was long term, I would have been getting 20,000. I know all the expenses because I've been running it, but I don't pay any property management because obviously I'm running it myself.
You're the manager. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. 7.79% net yield.
Yeah. That's without paying the loans, but Yep.
It's good. Ink the loan, 40 grand. Yeah. Okay. So this is net cash flow positive. Okay. So your options here are. This is where it gets like very interesting. It gets not negligible. It is you're negative 15 grand here, or you're up 2 grand. So you can only hold so many of these at 15 grand negative, and you can probably hold unlimited of these, bringing in 2.5 grand. Super interesting. Okay, so 115% higher. So if we factor in the property management expenses on, well, we can do that 47,000. That's going to take 22%. So that's an extra 10 grand. So you would be negative 6 grand. You'd be negative 6 grand instead of negative 15,000.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's crushed it. What happened here? Oh, it hasn't happened. What happened here?
So we're still there.
It hasn't happened yet.
So that's right. We're still, and look, that's because there's a lead time, and people are only booking certain time in advance, and blah blah blah. So the red line is we're doing better. This is RevPar. RevPar is the critical metric that you track. It's your occupancy times your average daily rate. So it's a good one to kind of track, because you're talking about dynamic pricing. Sometimes you might we haven't had a booking, but we want to get the occupancy, so we drop the price by $20, and we end up getting 4 nights booked with the reduction in the $20, but we still get more money in the end because we've got the occupancy. So RevPar helps us
the way to go
to measure all that.
See, and this is again the challenge of I just wouldn't do this myself. I just wouldn't do it myself, because I have to have RevPar, I have to have data bloody thing, I have to have all of these things, and I just want to report at the end of the day. I just want to be cash flow positive.
That's right. This is what we do because owners expect it, and we should be doing it. It's you get to know your one little your one property. Yeah, this is another one in Hervey Bay. It's been going for a really long time, a couple of years, and so it's got some brilliant reviews. This is his 3-bedder one that's nicely furnished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, 6.3% yield up against a 3.6% yield. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and here's your unit with a car park, one car park. There you go. And then they've got some growth. Geez, the growth hasn't. God, you could have bought something in WA for 405,000. It'd now be worth 820,000.
The unit. It's a unit in CBD, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I hear so many people that buy these type of assets and sell them off. But it's like, great. Well, can you turn it into a cash? Maybe can you turn it into a cash situation? I want to hit some of these. Any other points? Anything else on here that's worthwhile noting and showing the crew?
No.
Good. Okay. Okay, I want to hit some of the questions. So if anyone, sorry, I realize we've gone over time as we always tend to do. Anybody has any questions, throw them in the comment box. There's actually come up a great question here. What should we think about when it comes to tax time? How do we think about tax time as Airbnbers?
Talk to your accountant. Because it's about it's all of the things in it about how you've purchased your property and how you're running your property as a business. So make sure you keep all of records of all your expenses so they can be claimed. You can't claim your travel to see it anymore, unfortunately, but run it as a business, keep record of and as any of your properties. I mean, obviously the tax implications depend what structure you have your Airbnb in, but
okay,
it's your personal name or whether you've bought it in your whatever.
Do you see a difference, or do you see people investing in trusts in these things, or is it more of like normal name? Like, is there a specific structure you're typically seeing? Obviously, we can't give out financial advice or anything, but is there anything you're seeing more so?
I typically see people buying in their own names.
Yeah.
Very few are starting to see a couple come through in company trusts, but they're
trying to make them cash flow positive. They're probably the more sophisticated investors that you'd be seeing doing that, I imagine.
They're often business people who've got multiple properties in their portfolio, and they're trying this strategy to maximize some income at this particular property. And ex-accountants.
I've hit. We've actually touched on a whole heap of questions throughout this, to be honest. So I don't even think there's any more. So if there's anyone who's got any burning questions, throw them in. But this was a great little tip for your first thing. Offer your first 3 bookings at 20% off. The algorithm works based on how popular and how quickly your unit is booked out, and it'll always be at the top of the list. Great idea. Like, great little tip to get your first one booked in. So you've just booked your Airbnb. It's the first time ever. Now, crickets, great. Give an offer, make a discount, get some great reviews, and then
you can do the same thing on VRBO. Just mark your price up by 20%, so you're not losing all your money. So you get the 20% discount. The guest sees a 20% discount, but yeah.
Any other quick tips for people similar to that, where it's like, oh my gosh, you should totally do this, and people don't do it?
Gosh, I think I would say be stylish in your presentation of your property. Don't just get your granddad's rocket chair and your grandma's old cutlery set. Like, it just you need to. And to be honest, if I was buying a property, I would buy a more modern property, because your maintenance guests are brutal with their maintenance complaints. That's where a tenant might be a bit more tolerable of toilet seats that are a bit dodgy or whatever, like a guest will not be. So the more modern your property is, or the more recent renovated it is, it'll just make your life easier.
Okay.
And more cost effective, really, because you're going to be doing less maintenance and repairs.
Well, yeah. And I also think like reviews are like brutal, as you say. Like, if you get a bad exactly, if you get one bad one, like in my business, I'm like, we are not getting actually, I don't want to say that, I don't want to jinx it, but like, positive reviews are all we're going to get, and it's because you provide an incredible service for people. But they're like, one person sees that negative review. All I do when I look at reviews, first I go to the 3-star, because I'm like, 3-star people, the people that leave a 3-star, they've got something to say, but they're not total crazy people. Whereas the 1-star, 0 stars are like the crazy people that just go off on a tangent. Whereas a 3 and 4-star, I'm like, ooh, someone that has to say something, but wasn't fully satisfied. But yeah, you really live and die. I imagine this is the exact same game. You live and die by it. But I guess that's where a good property manager comes in handy. So this has been
just in terms of reviews, like if you get about the key to that is respond to all of your reviews. And so the bad ones get buried. You just don't make it stand out like you respond, you say, yeah, we fixed it, thank you. Like and you respond to your reviews with your next guest in mind, not with retaliating to that particular guest. So you need to be pretty strategic about that. But I find if I just respond to every review, all the positive 5-star ones, and so it just all gets buried.
Yeah. Okay. That makes perfect sense. I didn't think about half of this stuff, Meredith. How do we get? This has been very insightful. Like it's because we started this conversation as great. How can we get the Oz property portfolio into it? And you showed our block of units that we have, and you've kind of said, hey, you should probably turn this into a mini micro Airbnb motel where if you spent a couple of grand, you could actually style it quite nicely, make it a bit more of an attraction. And it's pretty interesting. And also, what's the rental income on it? I think you said it's $117,000 or something wild. So yeah, $18,000 a month. That's ridiculous. No, 117, whatever it works out to be. Much more cash flow positive than what it currently is. But these things I don't even think about. So how do we get more Meredith in our lives? How can we get in touch if we do want to go down this Airbnb path? And how does that all work?
Yeah, look, you can go to our website and stick through a request and get in contact with us, and we can do appraisals for you. We can have a just chat through about where you're thinking. If you know what your budget is and you're like, I'm thinking this area, like we can go and have a look at the data and go, yep, seasonality is not too bad, demand and rental growth is not too bad in this area. There's like a lot of markets. So definitely have a chat about where you're looking and what because you know your budget, you know what you're keen to do.
Yeah.
But get in touch and we can do a free appraisal.
Well, because it's also worthwhile doing because we've got 5 properties in there, and I think it was one of the Victoria deals where you're like, actually, yeah, that's worthwhile, and then the Jalong unit's worthwhile. Everything else, the other 3, you're not really making it. But 117 grand on all 4 units, that could be really. That would take it from. Yeah, it's massive. Like right now, we're 1200 times 4. Yeah, shit. We're getting 62 grand a year. And you're telling me I can get 117? So 50% more revenue definitely covers whatever the costs are going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we might have to chat offline about this.
We'll have a chat offline.
Thank you very much for sharing all the insights and the juicy goss. And yeah, I appreciate you. I think it's really cool to hear you optimizing and seeing opportunity and converting into value. But yeah, anything else you want to leave the audience with or kind of cover off?
No, look, I'm just super grateful to be to come and chat with you and talk about something that I really love doing, and showing you some of the numbers and I know there's so much sort of around it and behind it, and I hope it was sort of robust enough that gave some useful strategies and value, and not just talking about all the fun stuff. People are throwing it out. So thank you very much for coming on. Cool. We will hopefully it's not another 4 years when we get you back on. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Well, let's go buy an Airbnb property. See you later.